Greetings, fellow detectives. Wizard Kitten here, bringing you a new build in my series, Building Nancy Drew in The Sims 4. Today, I am bringing you both an apartment build for a character and a recreation of a space that we do see in a Nancy Drew game. We are doing JJ Ling's apartment from Nancy Drew, Danger by Design. Now, I had originally kind of hoped to do JJ Ling's apartment in one of the San Myshuno apartments. So what I did was jot down kind of the floor plan that we end up seeing in the game, and then I tried to match that floor plan to all of the possible apartments within San Myshuno, and none of them were quite right. There were a couple that got kind of close to being the right shape, but then the size was way off. Like, they would have been massive even if the window placement was correct and things like that. So I eventually decided, you know what, we do technically see the outside of, I'm going to butcher the name, it's like Place Monge or something like that. Place Monge, Placemonge. We do see the outside of the building that JJ Ling lives in, so I decided to make the building as well. I don't go super crazy with it because I did really want to focus on the apartment itself, but I am actually quite pleased with how the outside of the building ended up turning out. I think this lot in particular in Windenburg has really beautiful lighting, and that was kind of the main concern for me with doing this apartment, was that it had beautiful natural light. The floor plan was exactly how it's supposed to be in the game. The windows, the colors, and the furniture were exactly the same, so I do believe that I achieved that. I'm pretty happy with how this recreation turned out. There's lots of Sims 4 University stuff, there's some city living stuff, there's some Strangerville, and surprisingly, I got a lot of use out of the Sims 4 Country Kitchen Kit. So I've already gotten quite a lot of use out of the kits. I know they're kind of controversial, but I would hands down purchase the Country Kitchen Kit again, just as somebody who recently in The Sims has been doing basically only building. I really have not done gameplay in a very long time because I spend most of my time building for you all, and sometime once in a while in my free time working on kind of a realistic save file that I've just been doing in my spare time, just kind of trying to create a Sims world save that reflects life as I am kind of used to it. Like, rather than having bars and lounges everywhere, I have some more restaurants everywhere and more parks and more places for kids to hang out. Just more realistic in terms of what I try to do in The Sims, which tends to be more realistic family gameplay. But anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent. For the outside of this build, I was really very much inspired by kind of the shot that we get of the building itself before we walk into JJ Ling's apartment. So the outside kind of follows what that building looks like, and it essentially is one of those corner buildings where the entrance is kind of diagonal and then the building shoots out in kind of a triangle shape from that point. That is an extremely difficult shape to do in The Sims, so I kind of did a variation of it where it was just kind of diagonal with more of the square shooting off, more of the grid appropriate kind of shoot offs. And then because the building is quite tall in the game itself, I did decide to make it tall in this as well. I didn't do the other two apartments, but they have the exact same floor plan as JJ Ling's apartment does, so I kind of just blacked them out so it would kind of look as though another Sim was living in there, because that's how the apartments look when other Sims are there. Those spaces are just kind of blacked out, and you know that there's a Sim there, but you can't see what they're doing. You can't see any of their furniture or anything like that, just to help with loading screens and whatnot. I did decorate all of their doors, and I had kind of a fun time doing that. I imagined that kind of a kooky older lady lived on the top floor, and she really loves plants. I kind of imagined that a single male Sim lived on the second floor, and I just gave them a regular, very plain doormat and kind of made it a little wonky. I really enjoyed that. And then this is going to be JJ Ling's door. So I just added a couple nice flowers, a nice little pink doormat. I definitely figured that she would enjoy a pink doormat. And I kind of really like how the hallways turned out within the building itself. I'm not sure if in the game we're supposed to get the sense that you enter each of the apartments from the outside, or if there is actually an interior hallway. But for what I was trying to accomplish in The Sims, the interior hallway definitely worked best, so that's what I decided to do there. And I really like how it turned out with the black wrought iron staircases and how it goes all the way up. It just feels very much like a city kind of apartment feel to me. I definitely got that vibe, so I was very, very happy with that. And I left it pretty clean and pretty simple. I imagine that this apartment is definitely one that is very well maintained. I'm sure the landlord is constantly making sure that somebody is keeping the hallways spick and span, washing the windows. They probably have like in-apartment services, like they pick up your laundry for you, or they pick up your trash for you, your garbage for you, your recycling, all sorts of things like that. And I originally was going to do the landscaping a little bit more overgrown around the fountains, and then I decided that didn't really make sense because when I think of French landscaping, I don't know, I think of more manicured landscaping, and I could be totally wrong with that, but that's kind of just what I imagine in my head. So around the fountains, I did the taller grass. I do change out the flowers too to have some taller, more grand looking flowers, and then just the simple manicured bushes all the way around the building. I don't do anything in the back of the building, which means that this building itself could go on a smaller lot and still work out quite well, or it could be filled in with like nice little park space, a couple of umbrella tables or something like that. Anything along those lines could work nicely in the back there. So these are the taller flowers that I was talking about. I thought those got across kind of the grand look, but also very prim and manicured. That really, to me, feels a lot like kind of like the French style in general, in that it's supposed to feel very regal, but at the same time, it's also supposed to feel kind of restrained. It's an interesting balance. I think that's what makes things quote unquote chic for the French, is that there's that really nice balance between restraining your taste and also having some really exquisite accents. That's definitely the vibe that I got. So again, this country kitchen kit I got quite a lot of use out of. I used it in the hallway section. The wall and the floor are both the country kitchen kit set. That is such a tongue twister, by the way. And then the inside of the apartment is actually Jungle Adventure tile and Jungle Adventure walls, and they're pretty close matches to what we actually have in the game. And there were actually quite a few things in this build that I was able to get really close matches for, which always makes me really excited. When I'm trying to do these recreations, I try to get as close to possible as what we see in the games themselves. So when I have items in The Sims that just naturally work very well with it, it's always very exciting. So now we're using the full country kitchen kit set here, and I honestly love this set. I think it's so cute. I think it works perfectly for this kitchen because it still has kind of like a rustic, old-fashioned feel, but it's also very feminine, very romantic in its soft lines and colors and the curtains. So it really balances really nicely the kind of vibe that I feel like this apartment has. I imagine too that this apartment is a fully furnished one, so I don't think any of the furniture in this apartment is actually belongs to JJ. I think a lot of it is just kind of here, and she is temporarily using this apartment because we know that she is a model. She is likely not in one place for too terribly long. Right now she's working for Minette, but that doesn't mean she works for Minette for her entire life. She could very easily be moving on to something else down the line. So she wouldn't probably have her own furniture in this space. I'm sure she's just like renting this out, and the furniture was already here. So I really like how everything came together. I really enjoyed trying to match the things from the games, just like this little pear artwork. Decorating the kitchen just a smidge so it's not too cluttered, but it still definitely looks like JJ has been cooking in there, making all of her very special mint chocolate chip cookies, all sorts of things like that. Very fun for sure. And if there wasn't a better time to use these Moschino fashion magazines than now, I don't know what that time would be. So it was perfect. It reminds me very much of the magazine where we can read about zoo. And because we don't have traditional phones in The Sims 4, I instead put down a little music machine. It's not a radio. That was a really weird way to say. Basically, it's a radio, a music machine. Yeah, it's a music machine. No, it's like what I was trying to say. I mean, it functions like a radio in The Sims. It just plays your standard music, but it looks like a record player, even though it's not. So I combined those two ideas in my head, and you get music machine. You're welcome. Very straightforward. Good vocabulary. And I honestly love how many plants are in this apartment too. This is what I love about these recreations, is I never realize until I do them what the spaces have in terms of decoration fully. And she has a lot of plants in here. So I'm guessing that JJ is just really good at taking care of plants because they are literally everywhere. Or at least the person who rents out this apartment loves plants and maybe sends somebody in to water them every day. Again, if this is a full service apartment, I suppose we could make that work. I suppose somebody could come in and take care of the plants for the landlord, the person who is renting out this apartment, whether it's a landlord or whether it's just like somebody who owns the building or owns this particular space and rents it out. Decorating these shelves was really fun too. There are shelves in the game that kind of wrap all the way around the dining room space. So they start on the corner to the right of the windows and wrap themselves all the way. And I love how it looked. So I wanted to make sure I got a couple of white shelves in. Again, those are from Jungle Adventure. And now cluttering up the kitchen just enough. That was really my goal, was to get just enough clutter in the kitchen so that it looked similar to the game, but the counters in the game are actually quite clear. There's really not that much clutter on them to begin with. However, the kitchen feels a lot more cluttered, so I just wanted to try and make sure that it was as full as possible, like by putting these wine bottles on the shelf, getting the tea set, the pots and pans under the table, those kinds of things. I also put rugs around the room too, which are not in the game, but I really don't like having big giant spaces without rugs. I feel like rugs really help to define the space very clearly, very nicely. So that certainly helps a lot in The Sims. And I really can't do these recreations without adding in a couple sneaky rugs. So I added rugs throughout this whole big room. And I was really happy ultimately with how it looked, with how all the colors came together, the natural light. I love the big, beautiful white windows with the sun pouring in and hitting the countertops. It's just so beautiful. It makes me so excited for future sunny days to come. Our weather here has been super duper variable. We had a high of like 68 today, which is very strange for March, but tomorrow our high is literally going to be 40. So it's a 30-degree difference within one day, and yesterday was only 40 degrees too. So it has been way up and way down, super variable. Thankfully, not a ton of snow, knock on wood. Because that's really the part of spring in Minnesota that's really tough, is kind of the slushiness. But we've managed to avoid most of that. It's kind of been a pretty mild spring. No leaves or anything yet, but you know, we're coming along. And as I'm recording this, it is very warm and I'm not used to it at all. But I am looking forward to those sunny days and that natural light coming in through the windows. It's just beautiful. It's a great way to start your day when you can open up the curtains and actually see the sun. I'm so used to just, seeing the dark outside. And the sunny days are coming. So moving on to the parts of the apartment that we do not see in-game, we have this hallway which we can see through the French doors, and I guess they actually are like real French doors because we're in France. But through the French doors, we can see that this hallway has the same kind of wall design that the main kitchen and dining room area does. And then there is this red carpet. which is not what I would have chosen had I been doing this apartment. I definitely would have chosen something else. So red carpet it is. I mean, that's what we got. And I decided to pull that into the bedrooms too, just for the sake of continuity. I didn't think it made sense that there would only be red carpet in the hallway and then not in any of the bedroom spaces. And then for this little bathroom here, I decided to kind of section it off to have a really nice shower and bath combo with the clawfoot tub, and then the sink and the toilet are kind of separate. I thought that worked out kind of nicely. I could imagine JJ kind of putting a curtain over the archway too, just for some separation, but I feel like she would cram in as many luxuries into this little bathroom as she could. I think she would really enjoy taking really luxurious showers and baths and making the most of her bathroom space for sure. I decorated this hallway a little bit here before moving on to the bedrooms because I was just kind of stuck on what I wanted to do with the hallway. Matching a red carpet and kind of furnishing rooms with a red carpet is really hard because the red ends up being such a huge statement all on its own, and it makes it a lot harder to make other colors work. So for JJ's room, I kind of just decided to go all out with the rosy, rich, warm colors. So we've got red and we've got pink. I think she really enjoys the color pink, or at least she's wearing the color pink in the game. And she is a model, so I feel like there has to be some love for pink, at least a little bit. And I also used these this coat rack from the Moschino stuff pack because I figured she, in addition to having the closet, is also going to have a ton of other clothes that she is supposed to be like trying on, or that she gets sent from other designers and they want her to try them out and then see if she'll like do photo shoots for them. So I imagined that she would just have this room absolutely crammed with stuff. She would have clothes everywhere. She would have these fashion magazines sitting under the window and these pillows and extra blankets where she would kind of flip through the magazines and see what the latest trends are, look at her own pictures in the magazines and really enjoy that. And again, I don't think the furniture is hers. I think the furniture came with the room, so all of the clothes are hers, but nothing else. And same thing for this bedroom. I think the furniture already came with the room and is just included. I am only now realizing that I didn't really include a living room, which I guess I didn't feel was important. And I suppose rather than having it be a 2-bedroom apartment, easily one of these bedrooms could be made into a separate sitting room area with a TV and a couple of couches. I think that could work very easily. It would make a lot of sense. But I guess I didn't think it was important because I needed to fit in JJ's room and I needed to fit in a room for Nancy because we know Nancy is staying there. So I guess this apartment just doesn't need a living room? Yeah, maybe they just spend all of their social time in the dining room in that main area. Maybe TV was not a main priority for the person who owns this apartment. It's perfectly fine. So, that works. That works. And before we jump into the screenshots, I would just like to mention that I have recently launched a Patreon page. Becoming a patron is totally optional, but if you have been looking for a way to support the channel monetarily, that option is now available to you with a $5 tier, like supporting a streamer on Twitch, and a $10 tier that offers exclusive content once per month. So if you are interested in doing that, that will be linked in the description down below. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Nancy Drew and Sims 4 content. Thank you so much for watching, fellow detectives. I will see you soon.